Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to the medical classes, Medical 2, Curriculum 2 for the second semester. Today we are going to talk about class number 2, which is about bones. Of course, before we go through the class, we have some issues to discuss about the importance of bones to the human body. So before we go through it, we are going to talk about, or I'm going to ask you about why are bones important for overall health. Of course, the human body is a highly complicated and we say neat built, or the human body was built by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by God, in a very neat and a very, we say, complicated and we say efficient way. Of course, the skeleton or the bones or the human skeleton, which makes the, we say, the structure, the inner structure of our body is very important for our health and our well-being. So the outer part of our bones keeps our, we say, body shape and organs of the body fit, and we say enriched, strong and enriched. And in this way, human beings can, we say, perform their daily life activities, and they can carry even weights which they are really heavy, depending on the, we say, this unique build of we say, of bones or structure that can carry out all these difficult tasks and daily routines. Today, I'm going to, first thing first, we are going to have a paragraph talking about broken bones. And before we talk about broken bones, of course, you know that there are sometimes accidents happen, and these accidents can cause minor injuries or even severe ones. So today we are going to talk about, we say, the broken bones and the things related to broken bones. As you can see here, we say, I'm going to read from this passage, bone health is vital to a body's general well-being. The skeleton provides the body's basic framework, while bone marrow is an important part of the immune system. The marrow here, the marrow means it's the substance, a material. So this is the bone here, this is the bone. These are bones. And this material here inside, it's part of tissues or kind of tissues, which they generate cells, we say blood cells. Of course, they are responsible for generating blood cells. And of course, and most importantly, they are related to the immunity system, the system that protects the body from, we say, germs, from bacteria, from, we say, the outside, we say, substances that can or sometimes might enter the body to damage the body, or they are able to damage the body. So these substances, these materials can protect the body from these damages and dangers. Okay, yes. Damaged bones must be treated carefully to avoid improper healing. Of course, when an accident happens or something bad happens, or a hit, or even doing some exercise sometimes while playing football, or doing some heavy duty jobs, people might face the problem, or they might sometimes they break their bones. So this is an issue that should be taken carefully, And of course, they should go to the hospital immediately to take the right procedures for this case. Okay, now we are going to talk about, we'll finish the paragraph. He said, damaged bones must be treated carefully to avoid improper healing. Improper healing means when the bone is broken and does not fit together in a proper way. So maybe that can have some future consequences and negative consequences. That means bad effects might happen in the future to the patient. This guide will help you identify fractures so you can treat them accordingly. So we are going to talk about 3 types of bone fractures. Yes. Number 1, yes, stress fractures require fairly straightforward treatment. The bone is typically cracked rather than broken all the way through. So stress, sometimes it's not a very severe blow or not a very, we say, strong hit that happens to the bone. So the bone, we say we have, some cracked. Cracks means very little, we say, breaks within the bone itself. It's not completely broken, but there are little cracks, would they say, cracks. Okay, the bone is typically cracked rather than broken all the way through. This means no repositioning is necessary before the bone heals, because it is just a little thing. So they just a bandage or plaster, then the bone heals by itself. So there is no need to repositioning. So maybe if it is broken like this, so it should be repositioned. In this way, no, it's only the little cracks. Cracks means little, we say, fractures, and there is no need for repositioning or rechanging the bone position. Displaced fractures, on the other hand, are tricky. They require that the bone be reset before it can heal. So on the other hand, there are another type of fractures, which is, we say, called displaced. That means when the bone, well, is broken and it is not in its real or we say ordinary place. So that means something bad happened to that bone. And this should be treated very well, very carefully, and very professionally. For example, number 1, it says they require that the bone be reset before it can heal. Number 1 is compound fracture. As you can see here in front of you, here we have this compound. This is called compound. So you can see here the bone is displaced. That means it's not this. This is the right place of the. So it is the bone is moved from its place, and you can say it's completely split from yes. So this one needs an urgent treatment, and this urgent treatment means or needs to be repositioned. The repositions, it means to get the bone into its right place. Okay, so compound fractures and impacted fractures. So the second part, or the second type, as you can see in the photo, impacted. So compound are the most severe. This one here. Then we have impacted here. And finally, comminuted. Yes. Comminuted. Yeah. Comminuted. Yes, fractures are especially complicated because the bone is split into several pieces. And this one here, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 pieces of the bone. And this is the most difficult one and that I think needs surgery. I'm not a physician anyway, but this is not a simple fracture that can be handled easily. And this is, I think, one of the most severe, we say, fractures that can happen to bones. If you work with children, now, if you work with children, you will likely encounter green stick fractures. These common fractures occur when young soft bones are bent. They are called green stick. Of course, green stick means like a stick from a tree. And this, of course, because it's green, so it's flexible. So the bones are easily bent. So that happens with children, and this is called, because the bones are soft, they are not strong enough to be straight, so they are bent easily. So this is called the green stick, we say, case. Now, after we have finished this, you can see that from this paragraph, we used present simple tense today. We used present simple, we used, if you look at the grammar, we used in here. I'm going to read the passage again to show you how grammar comes in here. Because we are talking about facts in here. This is a factual passage. It talks about some issues related to bones and fractures of bones. And look at the first paragraph. I'm going just to show you how the introduction is written. Bone health is vital to a body's general well-being. So present simple. The skeleton is singular, so this is the subject. So provides, so there is an S, present simple. Why? The subject is singular, that means one, and the verb takes an S. Provides the body's basic framework. While bone marrow, so bone marrow, again, it is a singular, the subject, so we say is an important part of the immune system. Damaged bones must be. Damaged bones, so we have must, an auxiliary, where to be, then past participle treated, must be. So this is must be treated. This is passive voice. That means they should be, must be. So we use an auxiliary. Auxiliary means can, could, may, might, must, should, have to, has to, okay, need to, ought to. All these are will, would, may, might. All these are auxiliaries. Damaged bones must be treated carefully to avoid improper healing. This guide will help you. So now we are using an auxiliary for future, will help you identify fractures so you can treat them accordingly. So again, we are using an auxiliary can to talk about ability. So in general, paragraph one, the introduction uses present simple, and of course uses auxiliaries. Auxiliaries to talk about ability, can, could, may, might, or possibility, will, would, and so on. Then we have paragraph 2. If you look at the grammar, stress fractures require fairly straightforward treatment. Require, because fractures, stress fractures is a plural. This is a plural. So the verb should be without an S, no S with the plural verbs. When we have a subject which is not singular, but it is more than two. More than two means plural. So stress fractures require. Many students, they say, stress fractures requires. No, you cannot say, we say fractures requires, no, because it's a plural. So we say stress fractures require fairly straightforward treatment. The bone, again, look here, it's singular, is typically cracked rather than broken all the way through. This means, again, the verb is singular. This means no repositioning is necessary before the bone heals. Bone heals, present simple tense. Let's go to the third paragraph. Displaced fractures, displaced fractures. So you can say here, displaced, adjective, fractures, plural. On the other hand, are. So because this is a plural, look here, we have the verb to be are, not is. Displaced fractures, on the other hand, are. Displaced fractures are. So instead of saying are, he said, on the other hand, are tricky. They require, again, because it is they, plural, require that the bone be reset before it can heal. It can heal, possibility. This is an auxiliary. This is an auxiliary, like as I said, auxiliaries will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, and so on. Okay. For example, compound fractures, so this is a plural, and impacted fractures, for example, require, again, the verb, this is the verb, no S, because the subject here is plural. We say fractures, compound fractures, number one, and impacted fractures, number two. So we have more than one, so they are plural. Require extensive repositioning so the bone heals in the right place. Comminuted fractures are especially complicated. So fractures again here. So we say are especially complicated because the bone, singular, is split into several pieces. If you work with children, so this is if conditional, and this is a real conditional, real because the verb is present simple here, present simple. If you work with children, you will likely encounter green stick fractures. So if you work, you will. So this is possible. Why possible? Because this is a present simple. And will here is, we say, future. So present with the future, with the if, means possible, something possible, or it can happen. If you work with children, you will likely encounter green stick fractures. These common fractures, because fractures is a plural, the verb occur when young soft bones are bent. Please make sure that this is called subject-verb agreement. Subject, verb agreement. What does it mean, subject-verb agreement? When the subject is singular, we say singular, that means he, she, it, bone, one bone, okay? So the verb should be in the singular form too. So if I say he, she, it, we say the verb is speaks, because the verb here should have an S, here. This he, she, it. Or we say he is, she is, it is. On the other hand, no. If the subject is plural, plural subject, like they, we, you, okay, so we can say are here, because this is the subject is not singular, it's a plural subject. So we can say they are, or they if there is no verb to be, we say they speak, they go, etc. We like, we don't say we likes. This little mistake, sometimes some students, they don't care about it, but it is very, very important for communication. If you want to develop your level in English language, you have to make sure that whenever you use this subject, you have to have the correct verb form to match it. In this case, you can develop your language. By the way, you have no problem with terminology. Most of you, they take these expressions like fractures, bones, diseases. So you have the names of the words of the vocabulary. But what is your problem? How to put these words in a sentence, in a correct sentence. So that's why I'm trying to help you to do this, inshallah. And if we manage doing this, me and you, inshallah, that means your language is getting better, or you are going even to be fluent when you talk about any topic in medicine. Not mixing Arabic with English, no. But if you want to talk in Arabic, okay. And if you want to talk in English, you are also okay. And this is one of the major tasks that I'm facing, or I want to succeed with you by giving these classes like this. Okay, now we move to the next part. Let us clear the screen. We have some vocabulary. So, or before the vocabulary, we have a question that that requires, we say, some answers, the true or false. Okay, now let us read the poster on bone fractures, then mark the following statements as true, T, or false. Okay, then number one, bone marrow. Let us make it here clear, sorry. Bone marrow is necessary to help heal fractures. Bone marrow, bone marrow. So if you look here at me here, this is the bone here. That's the bone. And this is as you can see, the marrow. The question here says the marrow is necessary to help heal. In the past, heal fractures. In the passage, they say no, the marrow, we say, introduces substances related to the immunity system of the body. And of course, to, we say, to produce also cells, blood cells. So it doesn't say anything about helping heal fractures. So number one is F, false. Number two, stress fractures are easier to treat than other fractures. Stress, the first type of, we say, fractures where we have there are only cracks. A crack, if you say, if we have this, for example, this bone in here, I'm not really good in painting or drawing. So we say this is a crack here. So this little thing in here, within the same bone, the same, nothing is displaced. So it says easier to treat than other fractures. So this is true. Number three, it says some fractures require repositioning the bone after it heals. Some fractures require repositioning after it heals. Of course, this is false because repositioning happens before, not after healing. Because the bone is broken, so it needs repositioning, then the heals happens, or healing happens. Okay, now let's go to matching vocabulary. Now match the words 1 to 7 with the definitions. So we have here some definitions, the vocabulary. Let us make it. Yes, so I have to make it a little bit smaller. Yes. Okay, number 1, bone. Let us change the color. So number 1, bone is D. Okay, so number 1, bone. The definition of a bone is a strong, hard part of a body's structure. So this is number 1. Number 2, marrow. Marrow is F. So a soft substance with immune functions. So number 2 is F. So the marrow is a soft substance with immune functions. So you have to put a verb. So you say marrow is a soft substance. Okay, bone is a strong, hard part of bodies. So when you talk, you don't say bone, a strong, hard part. No, you have to put a verb. No verb, no sentence. Okay, we don't have nominal sentences. لا توجد جمل اسمية في اللغة الإنجليزية. We don't have مبتدأ وخبر. We don't have this. الشمس مشرقة. Okay, so we don't have شمس مشرقة here. We don't have no nominal sentences. All the sentences should have a verb. There should be a verb. Okay, number 3, impacted. Impacted is number E. I think E. Yes, E. So 3 is E. Impacted means, this is 3, having parts crushed together. So impacted means, so you have to put a verb. Impacted means having parts which are crushed together, or having parts means having parts crushed together. Number 4, green stick is C. The breakage of a young soft bone. So green stick is C. So you say a green stick means, or a green stick is. So here, because green stick is singular, so you have to say is or means. So means the breakage of a young soft bone, or green stick is. Okay, then number 5, compound is A. This is number 5. Having bone, yes, protruding through the skin. Protruding means going out. Okay, so a compound, yes, protruding means going up, going outside. So a compound is, or a compound means. You have to make sure that the subject and the verb, they match together correctly. Number 6, commuted. We say commuted. Yes. Commuted, sorry for the mispronunciation. Commuted. So commuted, number 6 is G. So this is 6. Being broken into several pieces. So commuted means or is being broken into several pieces. So this is number G. And finally, stress fracture, of course, stress fracture is number B, the last one, of course. A minor crack in a bone. So a stress fracture is a minor crack in a bone. So today we talked about, we say about these, we say types of we say fractures of bones, and also we talked about subject and the verb agreement. That means the subject is singular, so the verb should be singular. He speaks. It goes. Okay, this means, or this is. So here we have match, full match. Also, when the subject is plural, they are, they come. Okay, we are, we go. So this is, of course, why subject verb. I'm focusing on subject verb agreement because this is one of the major problems many students, Arab students, of course, in particular, they suffer from this problem. Even with the advanced levels of English, they suffer from this problem. Okay, now we move a little bit. Okay. Now check the sentence that uses the underlined part correctly. Look at exercise 4, everybody. Now, everybody, we say go to exercise number 4. This exercise, we have to choose the correct sentence according with the passage, or that matches the passage. Number 1, where is my pen? Number 1, the patient's stress fracture protruded through his skin. So the patient's stress fracture protruded through his skin. The diagram of a skeleton shows all the major bones in the body. So number one is not included in A sentence. Sentence A is not included in the passage. So the correct answer is B. So this is B is the correct answer. The diagram of a skeleton shows all the major bones in the body, and this is what is included in the passage. Number 2, marrow is the ridged part that makes up a body's structure. Marrow, which is the substance in bones, is the ridged part that makes up a body's structure, or the technical term for a broken bone is a fracture. So, of course, marrow is the ridged part that makes up body structure. No, this is the wrong sentence. The correct one, the technical term of a broken bone is fracture. This is what we have in the passage. Number 3, if the displaced bone is not realigned, it may cause permanent disability. If the displaced bone means we have this bone and the bone is broken, so it is, we say, displaced. That means it moves from its real place. So the bone was like this, broken like this. So we say if the displaced bone is not realigned means to get it back to the correct position, it may cause permanent disability. A green stick fracture is most common among, we say, elderly patients. Elderly means old people. Of course, this is not the case because green stick happens with children. So number B is wrong. So the correct answer is number A. If the displaced bone is not realigned, it may cause permanent disability. Okay, now we are going to move to the last part of the class today. When you talk about an issue like related to patients or related to x-rays or related to, we say, some issues related to a condition of a patient, when you describe something to another doctor or physician, you have to use, we say, useful language, such as there appears to be, maybe you should, can you see how. When you describe something, for example, an x-ray, so if you have an x-ray in front of you and you are describing, well, there appears to be a fracture. There appears to be a compound fracture. There appears to be, we say, a green stick fracture. So there appears to be. So you have to use appears to be. Okay, then you give suggestions. Maybe we should, maybe we could. So maybe we should have an X-ray. Maybe you should, we say, do some or bring me some, we say, blood samples. So you should. Here you are talking to the patient, or you are talking maybe to your assistant as a nurse, whatever. Then after that, you can use also auxiliaries. Can you see how the bone is broken? Can you see the blood result is changing? Can you see how? So here, this is just a starter when you want to give the topic, when you want to make a point clearer. So you can use these expressions. There appears to be, maybe you should. Here you are maybe giving advice. You should do this, you should do that. Or you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Or you explain something. Can you see how the bone is broken? Can you see how the fracture is, we say, is small? So here you are giving the appropriate or using the appropriate language. To improve your speaking, you have to listen every day for 30 minutes, any English, any thing or program which uses English. You can use 6-minute English, as I suggested. And you can watch TV, for example, news. Anything is in English can help you to develop spoken ability. Without listening, you cannot develop speaking ability, because speaking needs correct data, correct information, correct vocabulary, correct verbs to be used in a speech. Now, before we move to the last part, or before we say, here we say we have we say an X-ray analysis form, and in this way you either write something about to give, for example, a report, or you can explain the X-ray analysis to another physician maybe, or to treatment. For example, we say we have some assistants in the hospital, so you can use. So location of injury and condition. So we can say you can see, it is clear that this description of injury and condition. So now the location, you can describe the location of the injury. That means, is it in the upper part, middle part, or lower part of the body, or in the limbs maybe? Description of the injury, is it a minor injury? Is it a compound injury? And step needed for treatment. Here you give advice. So you say you should. Patient should take this medicine. Patient should be given such medicine. So in this way here, you can develop your communicative skills, especially in the work environment, in the hospital you are working in, or with the group of physicians you are working with. So in this way, you can keep communication. Anyway, this is the end of the class today. I'm really happy to give these classes to you guys. And if you are interested, or if you are interested to develop even further your language, please do not hesitate contacting me, and I'll be very happy to help you to develop your language, especially the medical, because the language, as anything, needs practice. So in order to perform well or perfectly using the language, it doesn't necessarily mean to be a native speaker to use a language, but you can learn how to use it appropriately to serve your, we say, job, to serve your future, inshallah, future plans, especially when you become a physician or a specialist, to serve yourself, your country, and all the people around you. Thank you for being with me for this class, and I wish you all the best. مع السلامة.